On this video, I will be sharing my top tips to take any team in the EFL all the way to the top of the Premier League, Champions League, and beyond. The first tip is before you even start the game and begin about thinking about picking a team, is to disable player attribute masking. This is one of the big ones that you can do to make sure that all the players' attributes in the game are visible right from the off. The scouts you're going to have when you're lower down in the lower leagues in the EFL aren't going to be great and they're not going to give you the right reports. So if you want to make this save really easier for you, then disable player attribute masking and you can take a look at the players for yourself and determine whether they're going to push your team forwards, be a squad player, or not be good enough for the squad that you've selected. For the purpose of this video, I've chosen Salford, but you can really choose any team in the EFL. These are in the EFL, Sky Bet League 2. You can pick a League 1, a Championship club. It honestly really doesn't matter because the system I'm going to give you will take any team from whatever league you're in all the way to the Premier League and beyond. So first things first, it's a basic tip. Take a look at your squad, see what positions they can play in. There's no point going on and building a tactic or downloading a tactic that doesn't fit the players that you currently have. There's literally no point. I don't care what anyone says. They say, you know, when you get in the transfer windows, you're going to have a chance to build your players. But right off the bat, look at the players you've got. These are the players you've got. What system can we play? The most important part of Football Manager for me is having a very good tactic. This will get you through the tough times. If your tactic is not on point, the rest of the work that we're going to do after this will not work. So there's two ways that you can do it. If you're new to Football Manager, there is nothing wrong with doing the following. Going over to FM Scout and using FM Scout as your tactical index, there is nothing wrong with this. This is great for players that haven't got much experience with Football Manager and just want to download an OP tactic and enjoy the game. And I know in the comments I'm going to get hate for saying it because people will say you need to be a tactical genius, you need to be making your own tactics. You don't. Don't feel pressurized into being able to make your own tactics and making them work. And yeah, sure, it's more enjoyable building your own tactic, but once you get experience with the game, you can go on and do this. But for the purpose of this video, we're going to use an OP tactic that everyone knows about. It's going to be the Swanzola, as you saw on the previous screen, but you have to make sure that these tactics fit the players that you've got, as I mentioned earlier. Now we have the tactic in place that suits the players that we've got. We now need to make sure that the player roles are the right roles for the players that we've got. For example, we can see here Callum Hendry is a 3.5-star striker compared to the rest of the squad. Can he play in a better position? The answer to that is he could play target forward better. So you could play him as a target forward or as advanced forward. He'd perform the exact same in both roles. So he's fine. Looking at Shane McLaughlin, where can he play better? Again, he's the same. He can play in a variety of positions at fullback, and the one we've got him on works well for him. And as you can see, Nati 4-star ball playing. Just go through each and every one of these players, making sure that you've got them on their best role for them that's available, and you will get the absolute best out of those players throughout the season. But what do you do if you don't have a player that really you need to improve upon? So, for example, in this example, we're going to look for a right back because 2.5-star to push us all the way up in this division is not going to be good enough. So let's take a look at what can we do with the transfer budget that we've got, some tips and tricks that I use to get players in that don't affect the finances and improve your squad at the same time. To do this, my top tip is to get loan players from the big Premier League clubs. It's going to be no surprise that the big Premier League clubs have a stack of youth talent that they can loan out to you to improve your squad vastly. So here is the loan listed players that are interested to coming to us on loan. And as you can already see, there are some top ballers in there. Amari Hutchinson, Harvey Vale, who are very good forward players, will be better than what we've got. But for this example, we are looking for a right back to improve our squad. And this is where the attribute masking, taking it off, really does help. So here, look, we can see Harrison Ashby from Newcastle's academy. He's worth between 6 and 7 million. He's a young Scottish right back. He's willing to come to us on loan. He's going to be better than what we've got. You can also scout him here by clicking on reports, assign your scouts, chief scout, can scout him for 1 week. He will be absolutely class for us at right back and improves that squad and gets that squad going, pushing up the league. The other thing to say about the loan situation is don't always look at who is loan listed as well. One of the other tips is I like to do is to go into the big clubs and have a look in their under 21 squads. and have a look and see if there's anyone in the position that we could get that would likely come. So you can look at players like Calvin Ramsey. Would he come to us? He probably won't come to League Two, but if we were a Championship or a League One club, then you've got some chance there. And just go through the squad. Just have a look, because sometimes you can pick up some absolute beasts on loan. You can also look at the under 18 squad as well. I like to do this all the way through the season. Just look to see if there's anyone to improve your squad. And just remember, you can have 5 loans in the EFL. So having 5 loans in your starting 11 doesn't mean you could have 11 players on loan if you wanted to. That's probably a little bit too much and a bit too much of a mad example, but definitely get the 5 in to have in your squad, because they're numbers as well. So you're going to have, there's a lot of games in the EFL system. You've got to play 46 games in the league season. There's the EFL Cup, the FA Cup, the Paint Trophy as well lower down. Well, it's not called the Paint Trophy anymore, but you know what I mean. It's called the Papa John's Trophy. I'm showing my age a bit there, lads, but that's what I would say. It's very, very good squad depth. It's not going to cost you any money. And if you wait towards the end of the transfer window, you can get them with no loan fee as well. So let me give you an example of that. So going back to where we was, looking at players that were interested, let's just say hypothetically we wanted to loan Harrison Ashby. We go to make an offer, loan offer. At the moment, they want 50% of his wage because it's right at the start of the season, and they know there's going to be clubs that are going to be interested in him and interested in paying that £2,500 a week, which we cannot afford to pay at League Two level. If you wait towards the end of the transfer window when it's coming up, you will most likely be able to get them for zero wage and zero. So there's zero monthly contribution. And this will, in fact, not affect your finances. You'll get an absolute quality players basically on a free for the whole season that will push your team forward. And you will reap the rewards financially for doing so as well, giving your club the best chance for when you do get that first promotion. My next top tip is one that people don't talk about enough, in my opinion. It's your staff. You have to make sure that you've got the best staff for training, for recruitment, and for medical in the division that you are in, and in the budget that you can get as well. So as you can see here, we've still got space for another coach at Salford. And if we look at the training, we go over to coaches, we can see that our training is fairly poor. So fitness coaching is 1.5 star, technical is 2 star, defending is, you basically want to get these as close to 5 star as you can for this level. Now in League One and League Two, it's not going to be possible because you're not going to have the budget to attract the coaches that you need to push on in those stars ratings. So you want to get this as best as you can. So take a look at the staff that you've currently got as well. If you go over to your coaching staff, you can see here, we'll take a look at this coach, Danny Bryn. He's a fairly good coach for this level. He's got 11 attacking, 13 technical. So he's a fairly decent coach. But what I would say is at League One, League Two level, you really want to see if you can get an all-rounded coach. Someone with, say, 10 for everything would be absolutely class. I mean, fitness, it doesn't matter if it's low because we're not going to be asking them to do fitness coaching. But tactical, technical, attacking, defending, if you can get coaches in and around the 10, 11 mark, they will really drive up your training, which will drive on performances on the pitch. It makes a huge difference. The quality of coaching that you have and the performances on the pitch, it does have an effect. And I've seen when I've had quality coaching, you get results you're not supposed to get. Players improve a lot more. It also has to do with your training facilities as well, which is something that we will come on to as another top tip of mine shortly. Talking of training facilities and youth facilities, for me, you need to prioritize these over transfers for players, because buying players for big money is very short-term vision. You can get in EFL, League One and League Two, you're probably not going to be able to upgrade your youth facilities and training facilities straight away. But when you start getting to the Championship and most definitely the Premier League, this is something you should be pestering the board about as much as you can. So you make a board request, you go to facilities, improve training facilities, improve youth facilities, and get them done as soon as you can, because what will start to happen is once you improve your training facilities, your players are going to improve more. If you improve your youth facilities and your youth recruitment as well. So to improve your youth recruitment, you go to networking, improve youth recruitment. If you can improve those two things, you're going to get better players coming through your academy. They're going to be better ready for your first team. You're going to make more money off them. And then what you need to do in these EFL to Premier League saves is to build up your finances. So you're buying players on a free, you're developing your young players, you're selling them on. You're a selling club at first. You build your way to the Premier League with loans and cheap signings on a free, and then you build up your finances, build up your facilities, and that will really push you on for the later game when you're challenging for Premier Leagues, Champions Leagues, Europa Leagues, etc. The most important tip that I will give out on this video is your transfer strategy and how to approach transfers when going from EFL League Two to the Premier League. Now, you have to be smart with your money. You have to play Moneyball here. There is no point, like I just mentioned, buying players for big fees. And by big fees, I mean that could be 100k, 50k, 60k. Those are big money for EFL League One and League Two clubs. 500ks. It's not worth it, in my opinion. There's always going to be ballers that are getting released by the bigger clubs in teams in better divisions than you. So I'm going to use Man City here as an example. So here on the transfer screen, you go to all transfers, and this is at the end of the season once your contracts are expiring. You go to release players, and here there will be a list of players that the clubs have released that season. So you're going to find players in there that have got big reputations that are not going to likely going to come to your club. But what you will find is the academy ballers that haven't quite made it to the Man City's first teams, to the Man United first teams, to the Arsenal first teams. But they're going to be more than good enough for you at League One, League Two level, even Championship level as well. And what happens there is you get them on the free, you pay them a decent wage, not too much because you don't want to break the finances. Once they're in, you play them. They will develop, especially if you go through the system that we've just been through of upgrading your training facilities and giving those players playing time, especially the young players. And what will happen is bigger teams in bigger divisions will start coming in for them after a season and a half, a season. Could even be as little as 6 months. They'll be offering you the 300, 400Ks for them. And you know you can repeat this process next season and get in another baller. Don't get too attached to players. Players are just names on the game. It might be that it's your favorite player in real life, or you know him from school, or you've known about him, you've heard loads of things about him on social media, you follow him. Do not let that cloud your judgment when you're following this system. Follow it like a rule book, like a playbook. They're just a name on a paper. They're just there to push your team forward and to push your finances forward. And once you start seeing the players in this light, that's the way you're going to start really progressing your team from League Two to the Premier League. Just to show you how simple this system is and easy to use, I've taken Exeter City from League One to the Premier League in under 10 seasons. We are the Premier League champions. We've won it at Akansa, only losing 3 games in the whole league. And Liam Delap, who we got for very, very cheap, scored many, many goals for us. And we followed the same system that I've just outlined. Just rinse and repeat it. It works for any club. It could be a non-league club. It could be an EFL club. It could be a Bundesliga 2 club. It could be a third division Spanish team. It honestly really doesn't matter. If you follow the principles that we've gone through in this video, you will absolutely smash every single Football Manager save that you play. This is the meta way of playing Football Manager, in my opinion. There's no better way than the system that we've just outlined. Let me know in the comments below what are your top tips and if you follow a similar type of system. And if you don't already, please do subscribe to the channel. It really helps the video's performance.